Hello, friends. Spencer Love here on Love Wrestling. I like to bring you guys positive guests, people who are great individuals as well as great professional wrestlers. And guys, I hit the jackpot again today, damn it. Mike Bennett joining me, Ring of Honor star, a recent returnee to Ring of Honor. Man, it's cool to have you on here. Before we started chatting on the recording side of things, I was telling you that you were a really, really big reason that I got into Ring of Honor. Of course, when I found out that I was going to chat with you, I had to gush to a couple of friends. And the cool thing for me is that so many of them talked about your pro wrestling, but so many of them talk about what an inspiration you are in their personal lives and sort of any battles that they've sort of needed some inspiration to get through. You've been a real huge source for that. So thanks again for the time today, man. It's very exciting to get to chat with you. How are you doing?
First of all, thank you for the kind words. That's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. I'm good, man. Considering the circumstances, considering there's a pandemic and a insurrection, I think I'm holding up pretty good.
Well, as Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
That's true.
It's great to have you on, man. Like I said, you're a recent returnee to Ring of Honor. You've been about a month and a half since you made your return. How does it feel to be back in a place that has got to be super familiar, but also very, very different? You look at the roster and some great members there, but not a ton really that you've had the opportunity to work with before.
Yeah, it's been awesome. First of all, just right out of the gate, it's reinvigorated my love of wrestling. It's made me just like, I look forward to going to work. Even though we get put in the bubble where we're away from our family, like I look forward to it because that's what I fell in love with wrestling. When I was at Ring of Honor the first time, everything about that company is what I love about wrestling. And then when I went to Impact, it was the same thing. But being here back at Ring of Honor, like you said, the roster's different. Now there are obviously guys I recognize when I come back and I see Jay Lethal and the Briscoes and Dalton Castle and these guys. Yeah. And of course, those are my buddies and guys that I'm like, oh, this is like a family reunion. This is great. But then that roster is full of guys that some I've never met. Some I've only like met in passing, and then some I've never even seen ever. And I'm just like, this is awesome because for me, where I'm at in my career, I'm literally just trying to have as many matches as I can so I can try to rebuild what my brand is, what my reputation is. And so it's exciting. It's exciting to think I can go get back in the ring with these guys that I know, and then get back in, and then get into the ring with guys that I have never worked before. We've never even crossed paths. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, man, it's as close as you can get to having your cake and eating it too, right? You mentioned the bubble there. What was the experience like for you as far as that goes? Because obviously being away from the family would be tough, but outside of that, what was the experience like just overall being stuck with the same people for the last little bit?
It's funny. I love it. First of all, just because I love the camaraderie of wrestling. I love being around like-minded individuals. But it's a small price to pay for the fact that we get to go and continue to work. And I mean that genuinely right now in this world that we're living in, the fact that I can still go and work, but not only work, but do something that I love to do. I'm incredibly blessed. And it was funny. The first time I was in the bubble, they kept apologizing. They're like, yeah, you can't go do this. And then you can't go do that. And then, if you want to go to the gym and the hotel, you got to I was like, why are you guys apologizing? Like, I have a family. I have people in my family that are high risk. I have 2 kids. I have a 2-year-old and I have a toddler. Like, I'm like, I want to keep them safe. And you guys are doing that so I can work, which can provide for them. And you're going to keep me safe so I don't take anything home to them. Like, to me, it's not even a price to pay. To me, that's just what you do. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I haven't seen a company handle this pandemic better than Ring of Honor's handled it, between not firing anyone, hiring new people, keeping everyone safe, continuing to work. Like, they've gone. I said it in a video I posted the other day. They made the decision pretty early on to put people in front of their profits. And I think we're going to look back at this time and look at the companies that did that, and they're going to get the recognition that they deserve, because I think this is an unprecedented time we're living in. And the companies that are putting philanthropy and putting good, putting these good things into place and taking care of their employees when there's a pandemic, I think that should be talked about more.
Oh, 100%, man. You took the words right out of my mouth. I don't think enough people are talking about the great work that Ring of Honor's done as far as that goes. You mentioned even something that is relatively small in a regular world, quote unquote, is bringing in a new talent. Nowhere's doing that right now other than, AEW's bringing in people for stuff like Dark. But it's great to hear, man. Is that a big reason that you decided to come back? I would at least have to assume as an outsider, you're leaving your previous promotion. You're a guy who, at least in my opinion, has a ton of name value still, regardless of, what you may have said in previous interviews. Was that one of the big deciding factors or X factors for you in coming back to ROH?
To me, it was always Ring of Honor. And I'm glad you touched on it because like there have been other companies, like I think AEW's handled this pandemic wonderfully. Like they've done great things with it. They've taken care of their talents. They've tested people. Like I think we need to talk about, we got to stop talking about the companies that did it bad. Let them do it bad. History will look back at them and go, wow, you really screwed that up. Right now, let's talk about the companies that are doing it well. And that's these companies like AEW and Ring of Honor. But for me, coming back, it was always Ring of Honor. Like me and Taven are best friends in real life, in the ring, on TV. Like it's just, we talk all the time. We've been planning me coming back like for the longest time. Anytime I was unhappy at WWE, I would always talk to him and I'd be like, how do we make this work? What do I got to do? Like, and then it finally happened where they released me and like Taven was like, all right, now we can do it. Let's do it. And it's just, to me, Ring of Honor's always felt like my home. They were the first ones that gave me an opportunity when nobody knew who I was. I was there for 5, almost 6 years before. Like it's my family. Everyone there was at my wedding. It just, it was like I left and I went I thought what were greener pastures. And then it's like when you leave home and then you're like, you know what? Home's not bad at all. If not, it's great. Yeah. It's like, there's no greener pastures. The greenest pastures will always be where you're happiest. And where I was happiest was always Ring of Honor. So to me, it was never any question.
I really like that. I really like that quote, man. I'm going to smile again when I play this back. You last wrestled for ROH in 2015. We talked a little bit about the roster turnover, but as far as, I hate the buzzword, but as far as the culture and as far as sort of the backstage stuff with ROH, have you noticed a lot of a difference? Where have you maybe seen some changes in the last 5 years that maybe weren't there before?
It's definitely production wise and the amount of like time and effort they put into their production. Like it was good when I was there, but now it's like they've really stepped it up. They've really amped it up. They have a direction on where they want to take it. But as far as like the culture and as far as the mindset, it's 100% the same. Ring of Honor wrestlers always have that mindset of like, we're at the forefront of professional wrestling. To me, everything that's professional wrestling now started at Ring of Honor. You look and you look at the main roster at WWE. It's all Ring of Honor guys. You look over at AEW, it's all Ring of Honor guys. Ring of Honor built what is now professional wrestling. And so what I think is the mindset now, at least this is the mindset for me, and it seems to be with a lot of the younger guys too, is like, all right, how are we going to be the forefront again? What do we need to do? And they're doing it. They did it with the Pure tournament. They're doing it with how they're filming promos, and it's bringing in this sport element to it that isn't really done in the States. And like, cause WWE really doesn't do sport. Doesn't really consider wrestling. Like it's not even really a wrestling company anymore. And AEW does it to an extent, but they also mix in everything with it. Where with Ring of Honor and the Pure tournament is they've been able to take something that I think is missing from wrestling. And that is like the competitive nature of it. Like everyone knows wrestling's not real. Like we get it. And they're not like, I'm going to bet money or this guy's going to, everyone knows that we're predetermining this stuff. But if you can make people suspend their disbelief and actually invest in it like a sport, you're going to start hitting on another demographic that may not be touched upon, where people are like, I love pro wrestling because of the athleticism and the moves that the guys do and the emotion. But what I think is Ring of Honor is trying to do is be like, okay, let's try to find not only that fan base, but maybe we can expand on it to the people that think that might be kind of hokey and corny. Let's give it, let's touch on the people that are like, oh, okay, this is just 2 guys or 2 girls. Just like there's a problem.
Never loving hell out of
settle
each
it in the
other.
ring. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what Ring of Honor is really doing. And I think they're going to set the precedent again for what the forefront of wrestling is going to be, because I truly believe people are getting sick of the hokiness of wrestling. I think they are. I think they want to see more of the matches. I think they want to see more of the sport of professional wrestling.
Absolutely, man. I think you nailed it there too, is that like, even with Ring of Honor, you look at, say, a guy like PCO, who would have what maybe people would call an outlandish sort of gimmick as the French Canadian Frankenstein. But you look at him and the first thought isn't, oh, that's hokey, or, oh, I wouldn't take that seriously. It's that dude could kill a brick.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, is once you start to, I think the cool thing with Ring of Honor is everyone has these layers to them where it's like, what you see isn't always what you get. And with someone like PCO, it's like you see him and you're like, all right, this might be a little hoke. But then you watch him and you're like, holy crap, I wouldn't want to meet that guy in a back alley because he'd probably rip my eyeballs out. And like, that's what's cool about it. That's this ability to be like, okay, these people can have, like, even like Vincent from the you know, with what he's doing right now. It's like, all right, he's doing this very gimmicky type thing, but when it comes down to what he's actually doing, is he's actually obsessed with being a world champion or being a professional wrestler. And like, this is just who he is. But he, at the core of it, he's a professional wrestler. And I think we've gone away from that, where we're like, oh, well, it's all this entertainment and blah, 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 cool, whatever. And we've gone away from the fact that at the core, we're professional wrestlers, you know, like at the core of The Walking Dead, there's still a zombie apocalypse. There's all these other stories going on, but at the core of it, everyone's trying to survive this zombie apocalypse. And that's what I feel like with Ring of Honor is like, there can be all this stuff going on, but at the core of it, we settle our issues, we settle our differences in the ring, in the sport that we're portraying on television.
Which has to be so cool for you, because not that people, again, didn't know what a good pro wrestler you were, but it's been 3 years since I think you even said that you've really had a chance to prove that, outside of maybe later in your run with Tony Nese and when you were going over to 205 Live, right? So how cool is it for you to even have the opportunity to, I guess, go out there and prove how good you are still?
Yeah, you know, it's, to me, that's the most exciting part right now, is like, I have a chip on my shoulder. I do. And like, people can take that any way they want, but that's what motivates me. That's what fuels me. And that's what drives me. And I'm determined to show people that the last 3 years isn't what determines what people remember. That's not my legacy. And it sucks too, because like some of my favorite matches I've ever had were on 205 and nobody saw them and nobody watched them. Like I had my match with, I had a no DQ match with Tozawa that I absolutely love and I adore. One of my favorite matches ever was against Rockstar Spud, or Drake Maverick. Sorry. And like, some of those matches were my favorite, but it's like nobody saw them. So now I'm actually in a company where they're putting me at the forefront. They're allowing me to be myself. They're giving me this opportunity, and I'm determined to show people that like I want to be considered one of the best wrestlers. When people say, oh, who's the best wrestler that you think, like if there's a list, I want to be on that list. And some people can say, oh, that's crazy, you'll never be there. And that's fine. But like, I didn't get to where I am now by not believing in crazy things. You know, if I was like, oh, you know, when I was 15 and I told my mom I was going to be a pro wrestler, like everyone told me that was crazy then. And if I listened to them, I would probably be doing something I didn't like right now. So, you know, I set huge expectations for myself, and I put the pressure on myself to achieve them. And I'm happy that Ring of Honor has given me that platform to try to achieve it.
It's very cool to hear, man. How long was the return actually in the works? You've talked about it being the plan even before you left for the previous promotion you were with. When did they contact you though? When did they start to formulate a plan for getting you back into ROH?
You know, so when I got released in April, Ring of Honor wasn't running. They had completely shut down operations and trying to figure out what we were going to do. But I had been in touch with them after I had been in touch with Taven forever. So like when I got released, the first person I called was Taven, and like, we were like, all right, let's figure this out. And we were both kind of like, well, we're not running anywhere. I mean, Ring of Honor's not running, but when they do eventually, let's figure this out. And then, you know, I got on the phone with the management on the Ring of Honor, and they're like, yep, we want to bring you back. It's just a matter of when we can do it. And so it was just this constant, like, when's it going to happen? How's it going to happen? What are the protocols going to be? How do we do it? So pretty much I would say from like the summer to when I came back, which I came back in November, but I actually filmed it in October. So I would say anywhere from like May till October, we were figuring everything out and just trying to, and then of course they had the Pure tournament, which I wasn't going to be involved in. So we had to wait till that all blew over. And also Taven had to make a return before I could come back. So it was like all these inner workings of trying to figure everything out. But like, that's why I say, like, even the 5 years I was gone, I feel like I was always planning my return. And then after I got released, it was just like, all right, it's a matter of when this is going to happen.
Absolutely, man. You've brought Taven up a couple of times, and obviously you guys are best friends. He officiated your wedding. But what do you love so much about working with him as a professional wrestler?
I got a little guy here who's trying to jump in. Can you say hi?
No problem. Hello.
He just woke up. He's okay.
Oh, what a sweetheart. Oh, the entire interview is going south. I'm going to forget all my questions.
No, it's okay.
Hello.
He's got to go get his diaper changed anyways. He just wanted to make an
no
appearance.
worries. The surprise podcast debut. Don't worry about it, man. What is it that you love about working with Taven, though? Because you look at Ring of Honor and objectively, there's a lot of great professional wrestlers there. There could even probably be the temptation for you to, I guess, try something new at the buffet. But what keeps you going back to working with Matt Taven?
He's, it's like one of those things where it just feels right. I mean, like I said, he's my best friend in the entire world. And so, and I feel like with this run, and we've been asked this before, like, is this like, oh, it's kingdom or nothing? And to me, it's like, the kingdom's always there. The kingdom was there when I left. The kingdom's still there. We'll team. But Matt's gone on and done incredible things since I've left. He's become the world champion. He led the group on it by himself. He's done amazing things without me. And like, so to me, I don't want to pigeonhole him. And I know he doesn't want to pigeonhole me. So there's this idea that we'll always be the kingdom. We're always going to be gunning for tag team gold. But at the end of the day, too, if there's opportunities for me to go do something with the TV title, or him to go do something with the world title, or me to go do something with the Pure title, we're not going to get in each other's way. In fact, we'll be in each other's corner, cheering each other on, because that's how we view it. That's how we look at it. It's kind of like we're this group, we're this team that we have each other's back. And if the opportunity presents itself for tag team gold, let's go get it. But Matt, if you have an opportunity to go be world champ again, you go take that opportunity, and I'll be the first person to cheer you on. So that's kind of like where we're at right now. And I think that's probably where we'll always be for the rest of our careers, is like, we'll go our separate ways, but we're always there. It's always, the kingdom's always there.
How cool was it to see him win the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship at Madison Square Garden? Hey?
Oh, it was the best. Like, in this industry, it's very rare you have so many acquaintances in this industry, and you have very few friends. I happen to not only have a friend, but I've made my best friend in this industry. And not only that, but you also don't, other people's successes tend not to, like for me, when Matt won, I was just as excited as if I had won. Like if more, like that's how close we are. Like he's family. Like when your brother goes and gets a promotion or does something really good, you're just happy. You're not jealous. You're not envious. You're just genuinely happy for your brother, or your sister, or your mom, or your dad, or whatever. And that's how I am with Taven. He won, and my excitement was just like, I was genuinely just happy for him. I was like, that was well deserved.
It doesn't seem like there's a lot of that in pro wrestling. And I say that as an outsider, man. I've never stepped in the ring myself, nor will this 160-pound kid likely ever do it. But it doesn't seem like there is a lot of that, or even just overall just a culture of positivity, for lack of a better way to put it. As a guy who's very, very upfront about where his mind state's at all possible moments, like, how do you continue to keep yourself in a positive frame of mind and continue to keep yourself motivated that way?
It's a battle. I won't lie. Like I'm human, and it's just, I think it's a matter of just being honest with yourself and constantly telling yourself, like, to me, the industry is so negative and the fan base can be so negative sometimes, but I've reached a point in my life and in my career where I've realized that if someone is that unhappy with me, what is going on in their life that they are bringing that unhappiness and presenting it towards me, someone they don't even know or they don't even understand. But it's also a culture. There's been this culture in professional wrestling of like, I mean, I remember when I was coming up the first time in Ring of Honor, and guys would tell me like, oh, if you ever want to go to WWE, you just have to be an asshole. You got to be a jerk. You got to be, because that's the culture. That's the mindset. Like Vince always wants people that are just like they told me that when I was with the company. They were like, Vince likes assholes. Like that's just how he is. And so it is a culture that trickles down. But what I feel like is ever since there's been like this uprising of indie guys getting signed and indie guys kind of changing the industry, I mean, there's a ton of positivity now too. If you look at guys like the Bucks, or you look at guys like Kevin Owens or myself, or like, there's a lot of guys that are like, no, this industry doesn't have to be this way. This is our industry. Even Cody always says it. This is our industry. The industry is for the guys and girls that step in the ring. And we have the ability to change the mindset. And I honestly think it was just always, there was so much negativity in the industry that it just trickled into the fans too. And so the fans started becoming negative. I'll never understand why fans complain about some of the things they do. I'll never understand why the fans will go to bat for a billionaire, but will crap on the wrestlers that are unhappy. Like that'll never make sense to me, but I don't try to make sense of it. But what I can do is I can use my platform to try to spread some positivity and good. And it's a struggle. I mean, I won't lie. Like daily I get comments about like how terrible of a human I am. And some days it gets to me and some days it doesn't. But what I have to do is just check myself at the door and remind myself like, no, you're okay. These people, they're going through something. And clearly they're going through something, because for me, I've never in my entire life, I've never gone on Twitter and been like, I'm going to go attack someone I don't know. It just isn't in my DNA, but I feel for these people. And I remind myself of that. So, I think it's a constant battle to try to stay positive, but to me, it's a winning battle, and it's an important battle, because I think especially more than just wrestling in this world we're living in during this virus. And like I said to you earlier, an insurrection and like this just political tribalism, it's important to keep a positive mindset, because this will consume you, and the negativity can consume you, and you just have to fight back at it.
Yeah. It's got to be great for you then, 5 years after leaving Ring of Honor, to be coming back, be in what I would have to assume a bit of a new position in the locker room as one of the more experienced guys, to steal a cliche, a locker room leader per se. So how do you go about maybe changing the locker room if there is a need for change? I'm not saying there is, or how do you sort of affect your influence as far as that goes? Because again, you've been a huge influence on me, and not that I've fought the same battles that you have, but even just on mindset or keeping that positive attitude in a pretty cynical ass industry.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, thank you, first of all. And I tell my story not because I'm trying to directly connect with people that were also addicted to painkillers. I tell my story because underneath my addiction of painkillers was a man who dealt with depression and anxiety and insecurity. And like that, I wasn't just an addict. My problems led me to be an addict. So like when I tell my story of addiction and overcoming it, and it's me trying to tell people like, there's so many people in this country and in this world that deal with depression and anxiety and insecurity and all this stuff. And I'm using my platform to say, it's okay to talk about that. This is okay. Like we all deal with it. Even the toughest human being you think probably deals with depression, anxiety, is insecure about something in their life. So that's what I try to portray. As far as being a locker room leader, I think I have a very blessed life, and I'm lucky to live the life that I live. Like I've gotten to travel the world. I've worked for every major wrestling company. I've got to meet my idols. I've got to do all this stuff, and I get to continue to do it. And to me, the best thing I can do to show how much I appreciate that is to pay it forward. So to me, I look at it as going back to Ring of Honor as, yes, I want to be Ring of Honor world champ, but in the process of doing that, I want to elevate everyone else around me. I think Abyss said it in his Hall of Fame speech, where he was like, when you reach that top of the mountain, the first thing you need to do is turn around and put your hand out and pick up the next guy. And that's truly, I believe that, because you're nothing without your opponent, and you're nothing without the locker room. And to me, it's just so selfish to enjoy this ride without helping everyone else get to that point. Like, I want people to experience the things I experience. I want people to know what it's like to be able to travel to Japan and go work in front of those crowds. And I want people to know what it feels like when you have like 10,000 people going absolutely nuts for your match. And that's why, like, I mean, I don't know how the younger guys feel about me, but I'm always there to talk to them, guide them through it, whatever they want. I'm never going to, like, I'll always offer assistance. And if they don't want it, fine. And it won't offend me if they don't. I don't care either way. This is just my mindset. But if someone wants assistance and guidance and help, I'll always be there for them.
Is that sort of what inspired you to get into public speaking at independent events and stuff like that as well? Because it's just cool for me to see, you know, you don't see a lot of individuals, especially, you know, when they're not wrestling at that show or not really getting something tangible like a payday out of it for the most part. It's just cool to see you getting involved because it seems like you love it. So is that what sort of inspired you to step into it?
Yeah, I just, you know, it's funny. I had a talk recently with my wife when we were driving home, and we were just kind of like talking about my career and stuff. And like we started talking. She's like, "You genuinely like to help people," and I was like, I do. And again, it's kind of, it makes me feel good. Like I enjoy it. It's the most selfish, unselfish thing I do because I genuinely enjoy helping people. I like when that's why, like, when you ask me, how did you feel about Taven winning? Like, I was responsible in helping train Taven, and, you know, we would travel to shows and he would pick my brain and all this stuff. And like, so to see that someone I helped achieve success, that makes me happy. My wife is the same way, but it's like, we need more of that. We need more of that in life. There's so much animosity and so much negativity. And for what? We're all out to do the same thing. We're all just trying to be good people, provide for our families, and survive. At the end of the day, that's all we are. And to me, I look at it and I'm like, we're all just imperfect people trying to survive at the end of the day. And once you break it down like that, it's like, I enjoy it. If you need help, I'll help you. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy, to me, when someone comes up to me and says, like, when you say to me, like, you've helped me with your story and this and that, that means more to me than any world title I'll ever win. I had a guy come up to me in Arizona one time at the Royal Rumble, and he was like this big jacked up dude, all tatted up. And I was like, oh, okay, what's this guy going to say to me? And he came up and he was super nice and super soft spoken, but then he broke down in front of me and started crying. And he was just like, he's like, I just need to tell you this because I didn't think I'd see you here. He's like, but your story helped get me through my divorce. My divorce was my toughest time in my entire life. And he's like, and your story helped me get through it. And I just, like, to this day, that was like 2.5 years ago, but it moves me. Like I get goosebumps thinking about it, to know that I can have that kind of effect, knowing that I have a platform that reaches people. And to me, not using it in a positive way seems irresponsible.
I don't want to say I love that answer because no one ever wants to deal with irresponsibility, but that's a great answer for it, man. I don't really have another way to put it.
It's like, it's with great power comes great responsibility. It's the truth. When you're blessed to be able to touch that many lives, I think it's your responsibility to use it for the good, because if not, what are you doing with it? You're just selfishly using it for yourself. But if you can use it to spread good and positivity, lift people up. Now, this isn't Tony Robbins BS, like, because I'm not trying to make money off it. I'm just trying to tell people, like, you just work hard, be positive, be a good person, and you can get there. You can overcome whatever you set your mind to. And it's just, to me, I need to. You have to do it if you're in this kind of position.
I love it, man. And I'm very, very excited for you to get to continue to do it, whether it's with Ring of Honor, going out to indie events. Hopefully we get you up here to Canada sooner rather than later to do it.
So. I love Canada.
Oh man, Canada loves you as well, for what that's worth. I do want to close it out before I let you plug where people can keep track of you. Obviously, another individual in the professional wrestling world that had a lot of the same mindset and had a lot of the same influence that you do was Mr. Brodie Lee. It's not so much a question, or as much as if there are any thoughts or anything you'd like to share, memories, anything along those lines, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, man, that one hurt. Brodie hurt. I feel like I'm still reeling from it. And my wife can tell you that. Like, it was one of those things where, a gut punch where you were like, oh, you know, it's like we talk about, there's not, I feel like the good people in this world and the good people in wrestling are few and far between. And Brodie was just that good person. And like, he just, he, he was able to just connect people in a way that like everybody loved him. And I don't think I truly realized that until, because you're always like, oh, that's Brodie. He's a good friend of mine. But then everyone was like, yeah, that's Brodie. He's a good friend of mine. He made everyone feel like they were really good friends. And me and Brodie got to bond because when we were both kind of doing nothing at WWE during the house shows, they'd always throw us together in matches. So I was always on it. It was always me, Rowan, and Harper all on the same team together. We did European tours together. And like, cause it was just kind of throw the guys that weren't doing anything on TV in a team. And we'll do like this big 6-man or 10-man tag match. So I got to do all these matches on his team. And we really got to bond that way. And then when I had my first child, we bonded over our families, and he just like, you know, without getting choked up here, he was a family man, and he gave me inspiration on like how to be a dad and this, and he just, you know, there's a million stories I could tell, but the best way to describe him is the happiness the happiness he had when he was around his kids. It's just, that sums him up perfectly. And to me, the way AEW did that with taking care of his family, and I said it in a tweet not that long ago, where it's just like, if you want to honor a man, you take care of his family. You let him know that his family is going to be taken care of for the rest of his life. And like, they did that. And that's, I told you I wouldn't get choked up, but yeah, that's important. And I'm just, that was, my hat is off to everything AEW did. That was just awesome, but nothing but love for Brodie, man. And everyone felt the same way.
Absolutely, man. And thank you so much for sharing that. I hate putting people on the spot for stuff like that, but it's very,
man,
very
I love
appreciated.
to talk about him. Like I said, I it chokes me up, but he needs to be talked about all the time because of, like I said, after he passed, you just see like, you didn't know how much he was loved. You know, you loved him, but you didn't realize how much everyone else did. And you were like, yeah, he was just that guy.
Absolutely, man. I again speak as just a fan, but that's been at least a small condolence for me, is just seeing how much everybody loved the guy. So I really hope it's at least brought the same to you. Now, to not close it out on a negative note, my friend, you're doing great things here in the near future for Ring of Honor, doing great things in your personal life as well. You're a great follow on social media. Where can people keep track of Mike Bennett?
So mostly I try to keep up with my Twitter, which is @real Mike Bennett. And or I do a lot of stuff on Instagram, which is @TheRealMichaelBennett. So just follow me there. I don't think there's really anywhere else. Follow me on Ring of Honor. And just hopefully once the world opens up, I can start doing some more indies, because I'm dying to get back on the indie scene. I did a few. I did Black Label Pro and Warrior Wrestling, and I'm just dying to once the world open up, get back to it.
Well, like I said, my friend, we got to get you up here above the 49th parallel sooner rather than later, which means I got a lot of hope that this thing is over sooner rather than later. But very, very excited to be checking you out here sooner rather than later on Ring of Honor television. Mike, it's been a pleasure, man, both personally and professionally. Thanks again for the time.
No, thank you, dude. I really appreciate it, man. I'll be, anytime you want me, let me know. I'll be here.
Well, I can guarantee I will take you back up on that, but
Definitely.
It won't be until a later date. Thank you, friends, for tuning into this latest interview here on Love Wrestling with Mike Bennett. I highly recommend that if you're finishing it up right now, turn it back around and watch it again, because there's lots of great stuff from a great individual and a great professional wrestler. Thanks again for tuning in, friends. Talk to you on the next one.